Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and welcome back to another episode of our Best Cards Ever series. If you've never seen one of these before, they're pretty sweet. I bring you back in time to a specific set's release date. We talk about card prices when the set released, give you a bit of history about it, talk about what decks were good and standard at the time, other cool facts, then I let you know the single best card printed in the set. This is basically the Magic version of a History Channel documentary. If I've piqued your interest, we've already done a few episodes. You can find one of them right here. Boom, super easy. Also, if you enjoyed this series and want more of it, please make sure to hit that like button. Helps out a lot. Champions of Kamigawa was officially released October 1st, 2004. It was the first of a 3-set block thematically based on feudal Japan and included a ton of references to myths and legends from that time period. Champions was the first set to replace the Legend super type with the word Legendary. Every rare creature in the entire set and some uncommon ones were legendary to show off the new change. In addition, the Legend rule itself was changed. Before Champions release, you couldn't play a Legend with the same name as one on the battlefield, just at all. You just couldn't do it. But now, if you do play a Legend that's already on the battlefield, both copies go to the graveyard. This rule would be changed yet again years later, but for right now, Legends were removal spells for themselves. It was pretty interesting. Champions also introduced the keyword Defender for the first time. This eroded the entire history of Magic. All walls up to this point were updated to have the keyword Defender on them. The last big change, Champions experimented with flip cards, the first set to bring this big of a change to a card's physical design. The idea was that you would meet specific requirements and you'd be allowed to turn the card 180 degrees and it would become a completely new card. Kamigawa really did some crazy stuff. Before we dive into how the set did, let's talk money cards. When the set was released, the most expensive card was 8.5 tails, a whopping $6. Yup, this was the most expensive card in the entire set. Being able to protect your creatures is a powerful thing. This Fox Cleric helped you do that without even having to tap down. The potential was clear. While $6 isn't that high, people were high up on this card. The second most expensive card at release, a 5-way tie. Kaiga, Kokusho, Ryusei, and Yosei, 4 of the 5 dragon spirits, all commanded a price tag of $5. Jugen was left alone to cry in a corner at 4. Anyways, these were all $5 simply because they were huge creatures with good abilities. Again, potential value. Speaking of potential value, the last $5 card, Moloku the Clouded Mirror. Control players knew the second this card was printed that it had potential. Returning lands to your hand, no big deal if you can get some sweet tokens in exchange. Not the flashiest card in the world, but players were really excited for it. While a lot was brought to the table with Champions of Kamigawa, it largely failed. The culture shock was too great for a lot of players and they immediately felt a disconnect. The cards weren't very strong, an obvious power reduction from the value-ridden Mirrodin block. Thusly, the set was largely cast aside in competitive play by Mirrodin before rotation. Too many legendary creatures created a sense of clunkiness and annoyance. Champions came into standard at possibly the worst time to ever come into a format. Skull Clamp was just banned that past June, but it wasn't close to enough. Affinity from Mirrodin was running rampant. Grand Prix Nagoya, a month before Kamigawa's release, Affinity takes 5 of the top 8 spots. The other 3 decks, main decking Artifact hate in form of cards like Oxidize and Viridian Shaman. Even after Kamigawa rotates in, nothing changes. Affinity isn't phased at all by the newest set. Since Kamigawa was so underpowered, it was barely a blip on the radar. Affinity continues to dominate, even through the next set in the block's release, Betrayers of Kamigawa, February 4th of 2005. Again, we're talking very little impact due to Mirrodin block's oppressive presence. Finally, Wizards wises up and bans the entire Affinity deck in March of 2005. Arcbound Ravager, the Artifact lands, and Disciple of the Vault all banned. Finally, something else can be played. May 17th brings the Magic Invitational. In the wake of the Affinity bannings, everyone was excited to see which deck would reign supreme in Standard. The format, complete chaos. Strategies all over the place. Decks awkwardly pieced together whatever is left from the artifact-loving Mirrodin and the out-of-place Kamigawa. Aether Vial plus a bunch of rats become a deck. Ninjutsu was a new mechanic that was underused due to Affinity. Not anymore. Cards like Ink Eye, Servant of Oni, and Throat Slitter were powerful cards for a brief moment. 5-color strategies utilizing cute combos like Crystal Shard and Cranial Extraction became a thing. Bringer of the Black Dawn saw play. All Sun's Dawn itself got more time in the spotlight. I could go on. Even Urzatron showed up, using powerful spells like Tooth and Nail to play powerful creatures like Darksteel Colossus and Sundering Titan. Seriously, Standard became crazy, awesome, and crazy. While this ridiculousness did last for a little while, mainly the summer of 2005, a new block was about to be released. Something completely different from what we've seen before. Ravnica's City of Guilds is announced and officially released in October of 2005. While the set's entire story is for another video, Ravnica does have immediate impact on the Standard format, shaping strategies for years to come. The set releases and one deck rises above the rest, Florez Blue Control. This deck was insane, backed by powerful control spells like Threads of Disloyalty, Disrupting Shoal, Newcomer Remand, and more. Florez Blue Control was able to drop gigantic threats like Moloku the Clouded Mirror and Kaiga the Tide Star. More importantly, this was the first iteration of an idea known as tap-out control. Previous to this, blue decks were always told not to tap out. You keep mana up all the time. The idea here was that playing these giant threats was so good that you didn't care about whatever your opponent played next. It was simply just better to get them on board. You can see the most updated representation of this idea in modern Tron. Tap out to play giant stuff. The effects were far-reaching. So, Champions of Kamigawa, a set that most players either love or hate, a set completely overshadowed in Standard and barely effective in Extended. Trust me, that's a whole other can of worms. Anyways, where's the set now? Let's go back and look at our original big money cards. 8.5 Tails has risen $1.50 up to $7.50, largely due to Commander play. Kaiga, Ryusei, and Yosei have all dropped below their original $5 price tags. While the reprinting in Modern Masters didn't help this, they weren't that high to begin with. The only Dragon Spirit to gain value, Kokosho. Up to $12, this monster sees extensive play in Commander and Casual. Lastly, Moloku, dropping from $5 to 30 cents. No, I am not kidding. One of the worst drops we've ever had on this series. Poor Moloku. Hang in there, all. There isn't much value in those cards, so where is all the value? The most expensive card from Champions of Kamigawa now, Azusa Lost But Seeking. Commanding an impressive $36 price tag, it sees significant Commander play and was a staple in the Amulet Blue Modern deck up until the most recent bannings. While the deck was banned out, the card hasn't lost any value. When it was first released, $3. Yeah. Next up on the list at $30 is Sensei's Divining Top. An uncommon that came out of nowhere to dominate Legacy in various counterbalance and miracle strategies. Want to know something funny? The top didn't even make most price guides when the set released. It was an uncommon after all. Why would anyone care about that bulk, am I right? Ha, yeah, the regrets. The third most expensive card from Champions is Minamo School at Water's Edge, $25. This price tag exists almost solely because of the card choke in Modern. Morefolk players love cards that aren't islands. Combined with a crap supply, this was bound to go up. Considering it was $2 at release, I'd say the turnaround is admirable. While these are the three most expensive cards in the set, Champions of Kamigawa has actually produced a high number of expensive and eternally powerful cards. Besides what I just named, the set also brought Kiki-Jiki into the world, a staple in its namesake Court of Calling deck as well as a powerful card in Splinter Twin before the banning. Champions also brought Through the Breach, an incredibly impactful card in Legacy sneak attack strategies, as well as Grishol brand in Modern. Glimpse of Nature, a card so powerful it had to be banned in Modern, probably because it's a broken card engine that fuels Legacy Elves in a way no other card does. Yeah, not done yet. Gifts Ungiven, a strong tutor effect that has seen play over the years in every single format it's legal in. From vintage Storm decks to Mono Blue Tron and Modern, Gifts has been everywhere. Ghostly Prison, one of the single greatest Pillow Fort cards for Commander, came from this set. Also the lands Beseiju Who Shelters All and Forbidden Orchard. Champions of Kamigawa is truly unreal. If it wasn't clear to you already, it should be now. While Champions of Kamigawa was largely ignored, insulted, and cast aside, the set has more eternal power than 90% of all Magic sets released up to this point. The irony is real. Of course, this does make it outrageously difficult to decide which card from the set truly is the best card. Is it Glimpse of Nature? Maybe. Through the Breach? There's an argument for that, I suppose. Gifts Ungiven? Probably a close second. But let's be honest with ourselves, no card has warped a format like Sensei's Divining Top. Legacy players either love or hate it. It's straight away banned in Modern, and it's a staple in Commander above almost all other staples. The card filtering the top gives you is ridiculously powerful, and there is simply no alternative to it. Gotta say, Sensei's Divining Top is the single best card out of Champions of Kamigawa. I think that's going to do it for today. What do you think? Champions of Kamigawa more interesting than you thought it might be? Let me know which cards you think are the best out of the set. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Also, make sure to comment below on which sets you want featured in the future. If you see someone else naming a set you want, make sure to upvote that comment so we can see it. It'll help out a lot. As always, subscribe for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source. I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. This video was brought to you by TCGplayer.com, the best and cheapest way to get anything Magic the Gathering. Did you enjoy the cards we covered today? You can get Nearman Sensei's Divining Top on TCGplayer.com right now for as low as $25 each. Too rich for your blood? Grab the Commander Staple Kokosho for as low as $14. You won't find them cheaper anywhere else. Links will be in the description. Show your support and check them out.